Six Flags Magic Mountain is the premier Six Flags park. It is adding its 20th coaster this year with Wonder Woman Flight of Courage. With 20 coasters, that doesn't leave too many gaps in their lineup. However, they still have a few. But the coasters they are missing are big ticket attractions that Six Flags typically isn't willing to buy for their parks. But will they splurge for the crown jewel of the chain? In today's video, I'm going to reveal what I think is the best fit for Magic Mountain after Wonder Woman, and then I will predict what I think Six Flags will actually add. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. Let's dive in. Before we move to the main subject of this video, I wanted to quickly give my thoughts on California's Great America's Wild Mouse being relocated to Cedar Point. On one hand, I'm happy that Cedar Point, in fact, will be getting a new coaster, even though it's a family relocation. On the other hand, it makes me wonder how quickly Cedar Fair looks to wind down CGA. Is Railblazer next? Like, the year they close, are they going to be left with a few kiddie rides and Grizzly? Or what? I'm sure the slope is not that slippery, but who knows? Off topic again. Wonder Woman just started testing with 3 trains, and it's looking incredible. I saw a video comparing Wonder Woman to Jersey Devil, and Wonder Woman is just flying compared to that ride. Okay, back to the speculation. Six Flags Magic Mountain has one very obvious gap, and quite frankly, the only coaster they sort of need. A good Hyper or Giga. Goliath is a Hyper, and while I think it's a decent ride, I despise it for taking the spot of what could have been a fantastic floater machine from B&M. The problem with these types of rides is that they come with a heavy price tag that Six Flags typically isn't willing to pay for ever since the market crash, and has not been willing to pay for since. However, things look to be going up for Six Flags as a whole, and that includes their roller coaster budget. They paid for an RMC single rail in Wonder Woman, and Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger, a B&M dive coaster. Let's say that Six Flags is about one coaster for a given season. They could have around $30 million to play with. Now that they are working with B&M, a Giga really does seem possible. I don't want to get ahead of myself, because there are some clear constraints to the whole Giga thing. One is that land could be a big issue. It's a miracle that they were able to fit Wonder Woman where it is, but a massive Giga wouldn't be as easy. I think the station could go in the old Deja Vu plot and just have the ride fly over footpaths like West Coast racers. The Giga is clearly the ideal option and would thrust Magic Mountain to the #1 coaster collection in the world. Yay. Let's talk about some other great coaster types I would love to see come to the park. An S&S Axis is always thrown out there, and I have to agree. S&S works well with Six Flags, and this is a completely new coaster type that would be extremely marketable. Talking about marketability, how could you not forget the Vekoma Tilt Coaster? The first one of these is coming to Texas, but if that one is successful, I could totally see a parks going crazy for them, especially Six Flags. They look pretty cool, and they're affordable, plus they actually look to be awesome rides. I could totally see one of these coming to Magic Mountain. The park is also missing a dive coaster, but with both SeaWorld and Knott's having dive coasters, that seems less likely. Making predictions for Magic Mountain is actually really difficult, because they already have all the typical Six Flags coasters. Let me explain. Magic Mountain has all the rides Six Flags seems to be adding, and more. They have an RMC hybrid, they have an RMC single rail, they have a giant pendulum, and more. However, there's one glaring Six Flags coaster that Magic Mountain does not have, perhaps the most infamous Six Flags coaster of them all, an S&S 4D free spin. A 4D free spin would be a massive disappointment, but thankfully Green Lantern First Flight is here to the rescue. The world's worst roller coaster actually did something good, I know. A 4D free spin could bring back memories of the horrors of Green Lantern, because how similar the rides appear, even though they give completely different ride experiences. What's making me a little nervous is that I feel Six Flags is kind of just running down the clock until the public forgets about Green Lantern and they're in the clear to add a free spin. I think that as long as the free spin is not green, it shouldn't be a problem. However, Magic Mountain is missing a Joker-themed coaster, but those are usually green, and that could remind the public of Green Lantern. This coaster could fit essentially anywhere, and does look pretty cool. It may also seem similar to X2, which makes it a little bit less likely, but that didn't stop Six Flags at Great America from adding a wing coaster and a free spin. I just really hope Six Flags is done with these and Magic Mountain just never gets one. But when talking about a park with 20 coasters, anything is possible. Let me quickly go to a more fringe idea that I honestly can't shut up about because of how perfect it is. Let's call in Chance Rides and give Viper the Phantom's Revenge treatment. This is so perfect for so many reasons. It gives the park an elite airtime filled hypercoaster. It would replace a bad ride with a great ride. It wouldn't cost some kind of massive land clearing effort and would fit in Viper's plot. Plus, it would be relatively affordable. It's so good, but I feel like it's a little too risky and outside of the box for Six Flags. Let's move on to the prediction part of the video. What do I think Magic Mountain will actually add next? To be honest, I don't think that Magic Mountain's next edition will be a roller coaster. I think some kind of thrilling flat ride is next in the pipeline. I'm looking at one of those wonky rides, like Harley Quinn at Six Flags Great Adventure, but I know that thing had a ton of problems. An S&S Scream and Swing seems like a perfect fit. Six Flags just added Adirondack Outlaw to the Great Escape, and it seems to be pretty successful. My official next ride prediction is an S&S Scream and Swing that honestly I could see coming in 2023. Let's talk coasters. This is really difficult. I think 2025 is when we'll see the next coaster. But what? Giga, Hyper, Tilt, Free Spin, Dive, what will they add? Truthfully, I have no idea, and it's almost impossible to predict. It could be none of those things. Let's be real. I think the Giga is just too good to be true, and if something is too good to be true, it probably is. I think if a Comet Tilt coaster will come to Magic Mountain in 2025, it will be nothing like anything else in the park or on the West Coast. The general public would flock to it in droves, and it wouldn't break the bank. I think if the Tilt coaster coming to Codland is relatively successful, this is a no-brainer for Magic Mountain's next coaster. What do you think? Is a Tilt coaster the right fit? Are there any coaster types you think I missed that could be a real 2025 contender? Please let me know in the comments. I respond to every single one. And as always, thanks for watching, and please consider liking and subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next video.